Good to see you. Thank you for joining us, me. If you are a parent who actually, and also a young person, a teenager or an adolescent who has got so much shit going on up there that you don't know how to cope. If you are a parent of that child, today I'm talking all about negative emotions and emotional outbursts. So you've come to the right place. My name is Cai Graham. I am author of the best-selling, the best-selling book, The Teen Toolbox. And it's really equipping parents and teenagers with the tools for navigating adolescence. Welcome. Negative emotions. They're a bugger, aren't they? Our 5 negative emotions are anger, sadness, fear, hurt and guilt. And if we are not careful, they get us into all sorts of trouble. Negative emotions are, I hasten to add, part of our survival mechanism. Because if everything was hearts and flowers and unicorns and rainbows, I don't actually think we would have survived terribly long against the saber-toothed tigers. So the negative emotions are a warning by our brain and a protection for our brain. And they're also a way of relieving tension and all that that's going up in our heads. The primary, and this is probably the emotion that you guys as parents see the most, the primary negative emotion is anger. And that is how it manifests a lot. And the reason why we often see anger more than anything else is because our little angels, our children, have not worked out how to pinpoint what exactly is going on. So it just comes out as frustration or anger. Frustration is another form of anger. Our child, because even in the teenage years, their brains are still developing until about the sort of mid to late 20s. I kid you not. So even though you might have a big, hairy, tall teenager that's 2 or 3 inches or towering over you, they still have a rather immature little brain, and they are still your baby, and they are still very, very childlike in some situations. As I said in episode 1, historically, as we have been growing up, we have been wanting our child to, I was going to say manage our emotions. I think probably be fairer, it's sort of suppressing them and stifling them. And what happens when we keep these, don't cry, be quiet, shush, there's no need for that. Calm down. And when we teach our children to suppress these emotions, they get pushed further and further and further down. And it's a bit like hanging onto a spring, that if you give it a tiny bit of leeway, the whole thing just explodes like a volcano. But when we don't acknowledge and when we don't address the negative emotions, we then have mistrust, we then have declining, worsening relationships, respect goes out the window, decision making just, it becomes very dubious, but also our children's mental health suffers. So if our child has been permanently told, shush, be quiet, don't cry, it's not necessary, you'll be fine, get over it, it's only this, it's only that. They have been taught at a very, very early age at a very early age that it is better not to show their emotions publicly. And that's dangerous. As I said, let me take a slurp. As I said, our children don't really know unless they are encouraged to do so, unless we sort of sit down and go through it with them. But they find it very, very hard, especially when they're sort of growing up. The young teens. Well, actually, no, any teenagers, if they haven't been encouraged to do so, don't know what they're feeling inside. Don't know that what they might just be feeling could be envy or jealousy or something like that. And even that, if they did realise that it was envy or jealousy, the shame of having imagine feeling so shameful about that. And it's not blimmin' surprising, actually, let's face it. They go on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and they see all these celebrities rolling in money or whatever, or people with trout pouts or cheekbones to die for, or a waist and lovely lashes, or best girlfriend ever, or whatever it is. And our children are looking at their own black and white world and everyone else's multicoloured, technicolor fantasticness. And no wonder they're feeling a bit sort of out of sorts. Why is our child's life so boring when you look at these really famous and happy people on the internet? And even if they then have the emotional intelligence to acknowledge that, yeah, I am a bit jealous of so-and-so, or my mate is happier, prettier, cleverer than me and it stinks. They are then coupled with the shame, and they couldn't possibly admit that because otherwise it makes them a bad person. So let's just face it, your child turns out thinking, well, I'm not good enough. Think of the chaos that's doing in their heads. I always say comparison is the thief of joy, but we do need to, I think, a bit open the lid on these, on how our child is feeling and finding out how they're feeling so that we can allay their fears. Fear. I mean, fear, a lot of kids might think, well, I'm scared. Well, fear is sort of, for something tangible, I mean, it's understandable. You could have a fear of flying, or you could have a fear of heights, and that's fear. Worry is something slightly different. Is that they are fearful of something that hasn't happened yet, something that may happen, something may never happen, but still, it's the what if and the oh my gods and the sort of getting their brain into an absolute tears, and this is where anxiety starts to form. But if our child hasn't got the opportunity to speak to someone and say, please don't judge me, but this is how I'm feeling, how can they develop? How can they work out and develop their own emotional intelligence? So I think the thing is that we need to reassure them. We need to talk to them. We need to, as I said in the previous episode, we have 3 basic needs. Again, as I said, beyond the survival and the, being fed and watered and having a roof over our heads. As individuals, I believe we've got 3 basic needs. There are lots of others, but the basic ones are to be loved, understood and respected. Now, if you want to hear all about love, go to episode 2. But here I think it's really important for us to go through the understanding our child and helping our child understand themselves. That what they are feeling, what these negative emotions are normal. That's part of life. As I said, it's not rainbows and unicorns. But because they're feeling something, it's just thoughts. It doesn't make them a bad person. It doesn't make them horrible. It doesn't make them less worthy than anyone else. So I think they need to be reassured about that. And I think it's important, I think sometimes I sort of hear mums sort of say, well, she keeps on, she's worried about her body image. And I tell her, don't be so silly, you're fine, you're lovely. Well, that's really not going to encourage the daughter to talk about what's going on in her head. So I think what we need to do is validate how our kids are feeling and understand why they are feeling that way. So A, B, C, it really is as simple as that. It's a matter of acknowledging those feelings in all shapes and sizes, acknowledging them and looking at them, and understanding that they are not bad people, understanding that it doesn't make them social pariahs, understanding that, yeah, most of us feel like that one way or another, and acknowledging that, I get how you're feeling like that. Or also acknowledging the feeling and going, well, okay, what is that? And what does it mean to you? Because they might go, I'm really angry. Well, okay, well, when did this start? And I had a little child who was always really angry when he came out of school. Really angry. Well, what happened? What happened? What happens at school that makes you so angry? Nothing. Is anyone bullying you? No. Well, is the teacher cross with you? No. Well, are you struggling with work? No. Well, what's wrong? I'm just really angry. Oh, hang on a minute. Would you like a snack? Yes. Would you like a juice? Yes. And what the child didn't realise was that actually this anger was blood sugar dropping. And all he needed was a snack, and it was hunger. Oh, okay. So that's simple. And it doesn't make him a bad person. He felt bad because he was feeling angry all the time. And I know that I should be nice when Mum says, how was your day at school? I just feel angry. Again, going back to episode 2. Or was it episode 1? That our children have that guilt of not measuring up to our standards. Go and look at that if you haven't done already. So A, acknowledge the feelings and just unpick them and have a look at them and see where it's all coming from. B, it really is as simple as this, and that's just breathe. CaiGraham.com/breathe. I have a breathe through anxiety course, which has 7 or 8 different breathing exercises that will help you and your child. And they're all child friendly, and it helps you in various different situations. 1, when you're angry. 2, when you're tired. 3, when you have tension in your body. 4, when you need to get to sleep. Loads of different breathing techniques. But breathe. Breathe into your body. And what I then sort of say is, if you are feeling these feelings, where are they in your body? Where are they? And some people feel them in their throat, and other people feel them in their head. Some people get them in their tummy. When I get scared, the back of my knees go, literally. Just, I can feel them tingling. And that's a trigger to me. But the thing is whereabouts in your body are these things, and what is the colour? And this is easy for kids. And, you know, you might, as a parent, might go, what on earth is she talking about? But a kid goes, oh, that's easy, it's green. Oh, that's easy, it's black. Oh, well, that's easy, it's dark blue with pink spots. It doesn't really matter, who cares? But the thing is by giving your child the opportunity to find that colour, it gives them the permission to, you know, a fun way of, and it works with teenagers, believe me, I do it the whole time, a relaxed way of going, yeah, you've got this feeling, I know you've got this feeling, and let's go and find it. Because then what happens is once you've found that colour, you breathe into that colour, breathe all this wonderful white, clean, fresh air breath so that you dissolve that colour. And the tension goes from your body. So it helps. A, acknowledge. B, breathe. And C, with that colour, breathe into it and dissolve it. So there are so many negative emotions. I mean, anger, sadness. Sadness is so important to talk about. I see so many children pushed aside when a relative or a pet or anyone dies or they lose someone or get, you know, maybe even just divorce. But let's not talk about it in front of the children because it'll make them sad. Oh, come on. They know what's going on already. It's better to acknowledge it. It's better to go, this sucks, doesn't it? What do you need and how can I support you? What do you need to make this better? Another hamster! Goody! Let's go and get one. That's pretty simple. Or go and visit Dad every whenever. Or just, I don't, one child, there goes my phone. One child said that he used to go to his granny's after school every day, and granny's dog recently died, and no one helped him through that. And the point is that he used to speak to this little dog and tell it all his woes and all his worries, and he knew that that dog still loved him, even though he told this dog his darkest secrets, and now there was no one there to do that. And the answer to that is, oh, well, you can't see the dog, but they're still there. They're still in your heart. So you can tell them whatever you like. Because they didn't talk to you when they were alive. They're not going to talk to you now either, but they'll be there for you. Oh, okay, thank you. And if that doesn't work, then some kids need to journal and get rid of all their feelings. And sometimes that's enough. And sometimes you just need to get it out of your system. But I think the thing is to reassure them and understand what's going on in here and support them and go, yeah, I get it. And when they feel bad about stuff and when they feel shameful about some awful feelings that they're having, then just tell them this is perfectly normal and you're still really good and you're still just so cool and fabulous and whatever. And give them the tools to forgive themselves. And how do you do that? Episode 2, and it's all about love. Because when they know that you love them, they can conquer anything. It really is as simple as that. So just help them understand, and to help them to understand themselves. And actually when you start talking to them, you get to understand them more as well. They feel heard and valued, and then these outbursts start reducing. And then the relationship gets better. And then they feel, hang on a minute, I've got mum and dad on my side, that's all right. Do you know what? It's all about communication. And the more you communicate, the more they trust. And the more they feel trusted and valued and loved, the easier it is for everyone. Really is. That's it. So, any questions, anything that resonated with you, please leave a comment. I love to hear what you've got to say. And share this video if you want to. This is episode 3 of 5. Episode 1 was just all about sort of emotional outbursts and the necessity of negative emotions and the survival mechanism. Number 2 was all about love. Number 3 is the one we've just had. Number 4, wait for it, the next episode is all about meltdowns. And then episode 5 is how to self-regulate, how to look after themselves. And together, I am here to help you so that you can support your kids, so that together we can build a mentally healthier and happier generation of young people. Much love, and I'll speak to you next time.